Hello, welcome to Courageous Journeys. Today here with me I have Kathy Salas, and Kathy lives with ADHD and also bipolar disorder. And to me, she's one of our local heroes. And why do I say that? Because she has decided to allow herself to be transparent and vulnerable and take the lessons she's learned and share with others how to navigate through the stormy waters of mental illness. So Kathy was diagnosed with ADHD at 41 and bipolar disorder at 45, which is later than most people are catching it, but I think in past generations that's not too uncommon at all. We were having a conversation off camera, and the more I learn about mental illness, the more I start to wonder if many people that I know are suffering, perhaps unbeknownst to them. So Kathy excelled for many years in regional sales in the national New York metro area in account sales, and also national sales manager in a high-tech software industry. Today, Kathy is passionate about using her skills and life experience to help others, as I mentioned, navigate their way through work and family. Kathy, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate having you here again.
Thank you.
And I look forward to sharing with our guests about what it's like to live with bipolar disorder and with ADHD.
Okay.
So, first of all, tell us specifically when you got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It's my understanding that there's actually 4 types of bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder 1, 2, then the third one is non-specified, and then also cyclothymic disorder. So which one did they tell you was what you were living with?
Well, when I first got diagnosed, they just said bipolar. And about a year ago, I asked my psychiatrist, I said, what do I have? And he looked at me, and quickly said, you have bipolar 1 with psychosis, which is about as bad as you can get for bipolar. The
Really?
Psychosis is a little bit of, losing touch with yourself, with what's going on in reality. So I had a little touch of that during a real stressful part of my life, my time.
When you were saying you had some psychotic episodes, that can range from anywhere from really irrational behavior to also delusions. And can you share with us, talk to us more about that, what you were experiencing?
Okay, now a lot of what I'm going to tell you is what people told me because I don't remember
Right.
it. A friend of mine told me that I was talking to my sister and my mother, who have both passed away. He just kept sitting there saying, it's just the 2 of us here, it's just the 2 of us here. And I just kept talking to them. My aunt, who lives next door to me, said I would get all dressed up, ready to go someplace, have my keys in my hands, and she'd ask me where I was going, and I would tell her some weird place, and I never did get in my car and go. That would be another thing. For my 60th birthday, I had a bunch of friends and my parents' friends over, and I don't remember the party at all whatsoever. A couple days later, I saw gift cards in my wallet, and
You had no recollection.
and I said, "Where'd these come from?" And slowly, it's coming back to me. I'm starting to remember parts of it and who was there, but I don't remember carrying our kitchen table outside, and why did that mark? Why is that mark on there? Because we hit it against the door on the way out.
So, but that was after you were actually diagnosed, and so you were on some forms of medication.
It took 4 years to get my medication right, for starters. And somewhere along the way this was going on. But in addition to that, like we were saying off camera, there's other things that go along with bipolar. And in this particular case, I was taking blood pressure medication, a diuretic, and I had just lost 35 pounds and didn't need it anymore. So my potassium went really low, and that causes that kind of behavior too.
With the low potassium.
Yes, so which is totally unrelated to bipolar medication, but when that's all happening at the same time as they're trying to figure out the cocktail, you don't know what do you do? It's like crazy.
Well, and comorbidity, we talked on another program where Kathy was one of our guests, and we also had Dr. Wajda on here, is extremely challenging. For instance, like for you, regardless of health issues, trying to find the combination because you suffer with ADHD or you live with ADHD, and ADHD patients or individuals are often given a stimulant.
Yes.
And so what happens, tell us about how that all plays a factor in your life until they start getting the medication right.
Well, I did take a stimulant medication for a while when I was in remission with bipolar, long before I even knew I had it. And I loved it because it made me be able to focus better, and so on. It was great. But now I can't take it. I mean, this heavier dose of bipolar happened recently.
Totally eliminates the possibility of treating the ADHD?
For me, and for most people, it does, because it kicks you into mania.
I didn't realize you weren't taking any medication for it.
Yeah, I'm not taking any medication for ADHD. I have alarms set for everything, including time to get ready to go to bed.
To keep you on track.
To keep me on track, get ready to leave, like it's time to get up so you can get ready for church. Okay, now it's time to get in the car and go to church.
Wow.
I'm serious. I have probably got 20 alarms set on my phone, which is my brain, pretty much.
So, alarms set for even simple tasks, and that's because you get distracted, or help us understand some of how the brain keeps you from remembering those kind of things.
It's an organic thing. It has to do with different, part of it's where you overlap, with bipolar and depression and so on. It's the way the brain is set up, and ADHD, for the most part, you get distracted. I get
distracted a lot.
Yeah, if I'm typing something up on the computer or watching something on YouTube or watching a baseball
Hours
game, which
can
I
pass,
love.
huh?
Yeah, it's all of a sudden, whoops, I was supposed to do this, or I should have been there. And I found that I could, set the alarm on my phone, and it works. For me, as a person with ADHD, I've always got to have something to do, too. I can't just sit there and do nothing. So I play games on my phone.
And we were, which we might as well just cut into that because it relates to it. We were talking about games, and we were talking, the last time you were on the program, I brought up journaling and how quite often individuals will journal, and it'll help them keep track of their mood swings and also recognize some of the triggers and whatnot. And you had mentioned that you weren't doing that, but I'm really proud of you because you found an app that helps you do that. So tell them a little bit about the app, the name of it, and how it works.
This is the coolest app. I don't know why I started one day downloading a bunch of apps, but this is called iMood Journal, and
I'm gonna show that. Can you see that? No. Yes, iMood Journal.
iMood Journal, and you can set it up so that it reminds you however many times during the day and whatever time you want. It comes up as in a notification, and I click on it, and it says, how do you feel right now? Well, when somebody asks me how I feel right now, I can answer it like that, rather than when somebody says, well, how are you feeling?
That's like the whole day, the whole week, how are you feeling?
Yeah. So I can write it down, and it's just on a scale of 1 to 10, and it gives you some hashtag, which I think, hashtag words to use to describe, like, let's say I'm feeling really down. I might have a hashtag that says stupid or disconnected or really depressed or something like that, and a few words that I've added. And if I'm high or feeling good, I'll put down good, accepted, and I might at the same time feel anxious, because anxious for the next shoe to drop, for instance. So it gives you a history.
By
also,
the hashtags, it pulls it up?
By the hashtags, that's one way, and it shows you on a day-to-day basis, like, this is 7, that means out of 1 to 10, I'm feeling pretty good that day, and at this point it's a 4, and it can all be the same day.
And it also graphs. You were showing me a graph that will show, like, times the day, at what point were you feeling really good, right? Oh,
yeah.
Good, you have the graph, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see the graph, but this bottom one's the day. It shows that I have my worst time during the evening since I've been doing this, which has been since September 30th. And this is a weekly graph, and this would be an overall monthly graph, and it would just kind of tell you how things are going. And the advantage to that is when I'm really depressed, I'm just thinking, I am so upset and so freaked out and so depressed that I think, oh my gosh, am I going to be like this the rest of my life? And it's just so horrible to feel that way.
You're in right in the darkest moment. So this will show you that this too shall pass, right?
Exactly. I remind myself this is bipolar. I'm going to feel like this, and then I'm going to get better, And then sometimes I'm going to be feeling way too good, and that's not going to last either.
Yeah, I have, ever since I hit puberty, I don't have bipolar, but I have huge mood shifts with hormones. And I can relate to when you're down, and you can't explain why you're down. It feels like the end of the world.
It does. It feels like the end of the world, and if you find out it's not, you feel like you want to end it.
Yeah, it makes you cry. And so do you have, when you're feeling like that too, I can imagine the emotions are all over the place.
They are. And the thoughts that go through my head, they just go so fast, and they're opposite direction. Things are okay, no they're not. It goes so fast. I was in therapy, and my therapist said, you're slow down. See if you can slow your thinking down. And I go, but I can't, and that's what you call racing, thoughts. Oh, this is going to last forever, Oh, no, this is bipolar. It's not going to last. It's going to last forever this time. I know it is this time, and
well, the racing thoughts thing, let's talk about that when we come back. I wanted to really briefly have you cut into that YouTube that talks about other individuals suffering with mental illness, and then we'll be back.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, because the racing thought.
Bipolar disorder, once known as manic depressive psychosis, affects nearly 6 million American adults. But what exactly is bipolar disorder?
Bipolar disorder is a severe mood disorder that causes unusual shifts in a person's mood, energy, and ability to function. The dramatic mood swings of bipolar disorder are different from normal ups and downs. These mood swings shift from periods of frenetic activity or manic moods, which may include excessive spending, promiscuity, and little sleep, to hopeless depressive moods characterized by excessive sleep, lack of interest in life, and lasting sadness. Fortunately, bipolar disorder is treatable. Many groundbreaking creative thinkers are thought to have suffered from bipolar disorder, including Beethoven, Virginia Woolf, and Sylvia Plath. In more recent years, Ben Stiller, Sting, and Larry Flynt have all spoken openly about living with bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder typically develops in late adolescence or early adulthood. The precise mechanism that causes bipolar disorder is not entirely understood, but likely involves both genetics and the person's environment. The disease does tend to run in families. But even when one identical twin has bipolar disorder, the other twin has it just 50% of the time, which demonstrates conclusively that genetics are not the sole cause of bipolar. The most common form of bipolar disorder, which involves recurring episodes of mania and depression, is called bipolar I disorder. Some people never develop severe mania, but instead experience milder episodes known as hypomania that alternate with depression. This form of the illness is called bipolar II disorder. There is also a chronic, cyclical, low-grade version of bipolar disorder called cyclothymia, in which less severe periods of depression alternate with hypomania. People that experience severe mood shifts from mania or hypomania to depression and back again more than 4 times a year are said to have rapid cycling bipolar disorder. Because it is sometimes difficult to tell the difference between normal mood swings and symptoms of bipolar disorder, many people suffer for years before the illness is properly diagnosed. Once diagnosed, it is a treatable illness, but bipolar disorder must be carefully managed throughout a person's life. If you think you might have bipolar disorder, please see a mental health professional.
Want to learn more? Check out other videos.
Family photos tell your stories. Faces, places, milestones, and moments. You probably meant to preserve those memories. But where are those pictures now? Hiding in boxes or inside the discoloring pages of old albums? Do you own hours of home movies and videotapes that you can't even watch? Slides and negatives that you've saved for all these years and you never get to see? Think of all those precious memories that you've saved from the past to share with the future. Thanks to technology, we're taking more photos than ever, but we're not printing them like we should. Those digital images are held hostage on phones, tablets, and hard drives, leaving them as high-risk targets for accidents and hardware failure. What will happen to all of these images that tell your life story? Cherish those captured memories, not by hiding them, but by safely saving them. Put this overwhelming task on your own agenda or enlist Horn Photo's expertise. Horn Photo provides hands-on help from day one with organizing, scanning, restoring, and duplicating photographs. We can digitize your print and video memories onto DVD for easy viewing and safe, efficient storage. All you need to do is gather your prints, slides, negatives, and videos, then bring them into Horn Photo, where we will care for your cherished memories. In most cases, you can pick up your originals and your DVD within a few days. Once everything is on DVD, it's easy and affordable to order copies of your DVD for your children, siblings, and the rest of your family, so that you can share your memories with everyone. The best part is what can happen once your memories are digitized. We will show you how to transform your pictures into keepsake photo gifts and products you can enjoy for years to come. Don't wait for a disaster to destroy your collection of memories. Take steps to sort, save, and share your life in photos, whether you do it yourself or have Horn Photo help. Stop into Horn Photo and see our full range of solutions for saving and sharing your precious memories.
Own it all at Owner Fresno.
I'm Christopher Blundros. I'm a CPA in Clovis. People come to me who haven't filed their taxes in quite a while, or when they do file their tax returns, they're surprised by how much taxes they owe. Or when tax season comes along, their records are so disorganized they have no idea what their income or expenses are. Call me at 559-765-0313 to arrange a complimentary 30-minute needs assessment. You can also find me on the web at clovisaccounting.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, welcome back to Courageous Journeys with me, Theodora Michelides, and today I have as my guest Kathy Salas, and we're talking about bipolar disorder and comorbidity and all sorts of fun stuff. So right before we cut to, or not so fun, right before we cut for break, we were discussing a new app that Kathy's using, which she's finding extremely helpful. And I want to talk about that a little more because it was my understanding by looking at the graphing that it would be a great tool to show to your therapist. And I asked you, and you said yes, she's loving that. So how does that, I mean, obviously she can see, but what was her first response when you came in and showed her that?
Oh, wow, look at this.
So now she's probably telling other people too.
Yeah, I showed it to her. In fact, we were in therapy and she was looking it up on her phone to find it, to tell people about, because it is a great app.
Is it, how did you find out about it?
I don't know, one day I've been having a rough last few months, ever since I ended up taking ginkgo biloba without realizing the damage that it could do to me. I'm not saying it's not good for other people, but it screwed up my medication. So it's been
challenging getting back on track.
Exactly. And so it really helps. It helps me. It helps her. You know, I can't remember what I was saying.
It helps her understand. I know, it's okay. I have a lot of it too, the ADHD. But it helps your therapist see the graph of what times a day or whatever that you may have more challenging, but also see if you're getting back on track, I would assume, right?
Yeah, she can see that evenings are hard for me, and like, well, what can we do, to make that a little more fun or a little less depressing.
Yeah. So evenings, okay, now I'm going way off target, but I just enjoy talking with you. So evenings, when you discuss that evenings are more difficult for you, you're married, right?
No,
Oh,
I
you're
live by
not?
myself.
Okay, well, living by yourself at night can be depressing for anybody.
Yes.
So what were some of the suggestions she gave you to...
Well, she's really good in that she doesn't really give me the suggestions. She
lets you-
asks me the questions.
Right.
Kind of like you're doing. Like what would, like, and so I start thinking of things that I can do. And one of them, we were talking earlier, is YouTube and watching stand-up comedy. And a friend of mine also said you can find America's Funniest Home Videos on anything. And 24 hours a day, somewhere it's on cable. And so there's, there are things I can do.
Make you laugh and change your mood.
That can change my mood, and even something that can get me energized so that I actually will get up. And Sunday night I moved my mattress, changed it around, something I've been thinking about, which meant I had to do the laundry of the whole bed, and that didn't start till 6 o'clock at night.
Did you set an alarm? We were talking about setting alarms earlier because of the ADHD and not taking meds for that help you keep track. So did you say in the mornings, are you like planning out your day and saying, okay, so at specific time I should be on my way to go see Theodora to be on this?
I had 3 alarms to get here. One yesterday to remind me that I was supposed to do this today, for instance.
Right, to start wrapping your head around it, and then one to start getting ready and one to leave, or what?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes. During therapy, as a matter of fact, which I had before I came here, my alarm went off. It actually sends me a text, which my phone started talking to me, and I could hear it saying to get ready to come here.
Well, that's a good thing. I'm impressed by all of the kind of tools you're using for yourself. Now, when I introduced you, I mentioned that, over the years you were working towards using the lessons that you learned and recognizing symptoms and all these different things to then start helping others through coaching them to also find the best tools for themselves. So, other than the new app that you found, what kind of advice are you giving to people that you work with?
Well, I'm suggesting things and hoping that they can come up with things in their life. But with bipolar and with any mental disorder, and probably actually for any human being, it's important to exercise, eat well, get enough sleep. Those are critical. And in addition to that, for bipolar, it's important to realize it's a lifetime. Right. It's for the rest of your life, just like diabetes is. It's for the rest of your life. It's an organic illness, meaning that it's not something you think up. It's right there like diabetes is.
Well, and the chemistry in your brain, the organic chemistry in your brain that's off, that the medications help with, and the fact that it's a lifetime illness, what advice do you give to people who, because you struggle with this, family and friends, to understand it's a lifetime illness? It's not something I'm trying to do to hurt you or to cause havoc in their lives.
Well, that's a tough one, that's a really tough one. Rather than giving people advice on how to help other people understand it, you can't do that because you can't control other people. So, I know. So the best that I can do, and it doesn't happen very often, and once I get depressed, I go right back to feeling judged. And even though I may be being judged, I know in my heart, I'm a strong person. Not just anybody can live with these things or go through some of the things I've been through in my life and be standing on my feet. And I feel that I have a lot of compassion for other people, a lot of love, a lot of strength, and that I would ask people to look at the strengths that they have.
Qualities.
What do they like? What is it about you that is different from maybe the people that are judging you? What is it that you're doing that's working for you that you wouldn't even pay attention to if you didn't have that going on? And everybody's pretty much got thinking, oh yeah, I can, I this, I that. You know, with my family, I feel at the end of, if there were a huge trauma or tragedy in my family, when it was over, I'd be the only one standing.
Well, there's something to be said for that, and I completely agree with you, because I've had a quite traumatic life that most people don't know about myself. And, you know, God or life or whatever your theory is, mine is that we are sent challenges which enable us to have the kind of compassion and love for others that a lot of people don't. They look, and I would say 80 to 99% of the people don't, because they're constantly in judging themselves, judging others, and we all struggle with that. I struggle with it too on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
You know, but trying to put yourself in their shoes instead of saying, you know, what's wrong with her, but saying, oh, something might be going on, you know, with their lives. And I find it, for me, it's a blessing that usually I can tell even when someone says they're fine, if they are or if they aren't. And that could be scary for them, because, you know, I'll put it on the table and say, well, hold on, let's go over here and talk for a minute, because I don't think you're fine.
Well, it's true. Somebody would, if I'm not fine and somebody says, how are you? I get tears in my eyes before the word comes out, fine. It does. And I want to go back to a little bit to judging.
Yeah.
If by my saying that my family judges me, I recognize that I'm judging them, thinking that they're doing that when they may not even be.
Right. Well, and a lot of times we put those ideas in our head. I was telling you about a call I had earlier with my daughters, that to assume that someone's thinking something is a mistake that we all make, regardless. And that is something that we are judging ourselves, and therefore we're putting an image, we're putting a mirroring that on them. And they may be doing it, but there are times when it's all in our head.
Exactly.
And then therefore then you're sending yourself into an emotional state, which is totally unnecessary, right?
Right. And I think when you have a mental illness, it spirals into it's even worse than it would be otherwise, because I have friends who say, well, why do you care about that? And I'm going, I don't know, I just do.
Right. And you can't control that.
No, I can't control it. Yeah, I have one friend, fortunately, who could care less what anybody thinks of him about anything.
Which is,
and he's good for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's real important to have friends like that, you know. It's challenging putting it all out there and hoping that people will still find compassion and understanding and love you for who you are. But we all have our issues, you know. So okay, so let's get off the sidetrack there that Theodora led us on, and let's see. So quite often people with that have mental illness, diagnosing it can be challenging because they might have substance abuse problems or alcohol abuse problems. And has that ever been an issue for you in the past? Or?
No, you know, it hasn't been, fortunately. That's one
good.
Thing that hasn't been an issue for me. There was a time in the 70s when I was introduced to cocaine, and I happened to really like it because it mellowed me out. And now we know why.
Oh, yeah.
Now we know why. Yeah, exactly.
Instead of making you all energetic, it mellowed you out. But you didn't have an abusive situation with that. But
no.
People that, for instance, are what they call self-medicating because they're feeling depressed, so they'll start drinking every day to think that that's going to enhance their mood or whatever. That can be challenging to diagnose them because the automatic response is, oh no, you're a drug addict or you're an alcoholic.
Exactly.
So on there's a website, let's see, does he have it up? He does have it. Mental health, national, is that the national mental health one? Anyway, Central Valley. The Central Valley Mental Health website, on there and also on the national one, you can get information on symptoms. But like we were saying earlier, if you're noticing some of these different symptoms in either yourself or other people, going on there and checking it out, and then even doing this mood app, iMood it's called, right?
iMood, yeah.
iMood
journal.
Then you can take that to your therapist if you have one. If not, it's a good idea to give one a call.
Exactly, and there are places you can go if you don't have the money to hire.
Here locally?
Yeah, the county will help you get set up if you don't have the resources. You could, call the county social services
County, okay, I didn't have that information. So you can call county.
Fresno County. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's the Social Services Department for Fresno County, and they are a good resource for getting
Some
a person some help. Yes.
That's good to know. We've been challenged with some different things and trying to find doctors or therapists or whatever. It's
tough.
It is tough. So okay, so let's go back. We've got how much? 1 minute before we cut for break. So in the people that you're coaching, and when you talk about alcohol or substance abuse, what kind of conversations might you have with them on that topic?
Well, we would just talk about it. Is drinking? Drinking would be the one that would come up. Is drinking? Is that helping you? Is that what is that doing for you? And how is it when you're finished?
Yeah, because my experience living with a dad who's an alcoholic is that, the next day, now you're back into a worse depression. You're not feeling good physically. You've just basically poisoned your body, right?
Exactly.
So I would imagine you'd be saying that to him, well, is it really helping?
Exactly. I have a friend who works at the VA as a substance abuse therapist, and he and I talked a little bit last night before I came on the show so that I could get more information about that.
Okay. Yeah, well, we're going to cut for commercial. Can we remember? I'm going to write it down since we're both talking during the break, and we'll talk about what advice he gave you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back.
Care system. There is coverage for heart health, care for cancer.
But the all-American brain is getting lost in the shuffle.
Brain tumor, fine. Brain disease, not so fine.
The all-American brain deserves better.
There's no stigma or discrimination against the heart, the liver, the kidney, even the gallbladder. Doesn't even have a job.
Yesterday, depression was kept in the dark.
And bipolar disorder was your best friend's mother's problem.
But the tide is turning.
It's cool to be out there.
We're coming out.
Why is mental disease the only illness you can get yelled at for having?
The brain is just as important as any other body part.
You're not alone.
It's not your fault.
You're as sick as your secrets.
Talk to someone.
Wear it proud.
Our goal is to make the discussion of mental dis-ease cool and trendy.
Let's tear down the stigma surrounding mental illness.
I'm mad about feeling good.
No kidding.
Me too.
No kidding.
Me too.
It's time we gave the all-American brain some peace of mind.
Today's program is brought to you by Truth Skincare, located near the intersection of Peach and Alluvial in Clovis, the perfect destination for relaxation and clinical treatments. Truth Skincare believes in educating consumers about which treatments and products are best for them and the results they can realistically expect. Each service will be carefully customized to meet your particular beauty needs. For information, call 559-287-0470 or visit their website at www.truthskincare.com to learn more. You deserve a skincare experience that's relaxing and pampering. Beauty should not be based on false claims and myths, but rather on knowledge and facts. Truth Skincare, where results are built on science, not hype. CentralValleyTalk.com. Hi, welcome back to Courageous Journeys. So, Kathy, we were just talking about substance abuse, and you were saying that you gave someone a call prior to coming on the show to discuss it so that you had some advice or information. So talk to me about that.
Yes, I have a friend who works at the VA as a substance abuse therapist, and he is also an alcoholic, and so he can really work with them from experience. And I asked him about self-medication. How many people does he work with that have mental illness of some sort and they're self-medicating? A lot of the guys that are coming back have post-traumatic stress syndrome, so he's working with the young vets coming back from Afghanistan in particular. But he said a high percentage, and yet there are the people who are truly alcoholics their brain chemistry is set up so that their body won't shut down if they've had too much alcohol, like mine does. I'll get sick or pass out or something, and my body just can't take anymore. An alcoholic
can have a high blood content of alcohol, right?
Yeah, they can go on and on and on and on and on, and it changes their brain chemistry, so they need to go on and on and on with it. And so that's an organic thing also, when it comes to judging. Somebody saying I'm afraid I'll become an alcoholic. I don't know.
I want to mention something about that, because many years ago someone told me that also, which I want to ask you about, family genetics tying into mental illness. But with regards to alcoholism, they said that quite often in a family you will see, and it's an addiction to sugar is actually what it boils down to. The alcoholic is the similar brain chemistry as the diabetic or the person that's addicted to sugar, which I thought that was fascinating, because in my dad's side of the family, we definitely have the alcoholism, and then those that are major, they can't be without their sugar, and then they turned into diabetics. So, genetically, chemistry with how our bodies function can be triggered in different ways. And with mental illness, a family may have different forms of mental illness, but still genetically it's tied together. So you were telling me prior to starting today that some of that goes on in your family too.
Yes. I heard some research, I read some research about there's one gene that has something to do with calcium, and I'm certainly not a scientist, so that's all I know about it, that will affect family members with mental illness, but it doesn't have to be the same type of mental illness. I have bipolar. I believe my mother had it, but I don't know, and because you don't know then. My daughter has it. Fortunately, she found out younger than I did, and now people are finding out more. But I have two other cousins who have mental illness, and they're both different. Each one is different from the other. All three of us have different mental illnesses, and we're all first cousins. And I just thought that was kind of interesting, reading that research.
Well, and for me, doing the research on these different topics too, is that, okay, so genetically there's the genetic factor, but then there's also the factor that I want to make sure we cover of, experiences. So for instance, the grandmother who was schizophrenic, the children of that grandmother or my parents went through some really traumatic events that affect their lives, almost like post-traumatic syndrome, and therefore then create an atmosphere of abuse to their children. So that in itself can be generational and continuing and cause problems. And then you also have the genetic factor that can sometimes be triggered through those traumatic experiences. So it's very complicated, but fascinating. And the more we can understand about it, we can work through that. So on that, with psychotherapy, with talk therapy, as Dr. Delalis liked to call it, let's talk about that and how that's helped you, working with your therapist and talking through these things. And
wow. Well, I had a lot of baggage once I figured out I had a lot of baggage. I needed to clear it up because I spent my whole life knowing something was wrong with me, covering it up, putting up facades depending on where I was, which one I pulled up, so that I would appear totally normal like everybody else, even though in my heart, with my whole being, I knew something was wrong with me, but I didn't know what. Once I found out there was something, in fact, wrong with me, and it was a relief to find out, there was a lot of things, there was a lot I needed to let go of, forgive myself for, ask forgiveness of other people that I hurt. I mean, there's not just how I hurt. I mean, the people lying in my wake, it's still very upsetting to me. But
yeah, that's what I'm talking about, because you had mentioned on the other program you came on about, having an episode and leaving your daughter. So then not only do you have to deal with that guilt and that pain, then your daughter is dealing with it.
And my ex-husband, who's wondering what's going on here. Yeah, my daughter, it's 3 years old. What happened to my mom? And we're as close as we can be now. I mean, we really are. I love her so much, and she loves me. And in fact, I'm going to be going to Dallas to see them at the end of this month for a couple of weeks. I can hardly wait. But we had to talk it through. We got to a point when she was 9 or 10. I said, we're going to go get some ice cream, and I want you to ask me all the questions that you have, and I'll answer them.
Did you guys go to group therapy?
No.
No?
I haven't been to therapy with anybody.
Anyone else?
Anyone else. However, I've been, people like, I was telling my friend that doesn't care what people think, he's part of my support team, and he knows my therapist, and she knows him, so they all know about me, and it's, so in a way, kind of.
So you mean you have discussions that cross over amongst people, and do they have discussions with one another?
They can, yeah, actually. They did. When I had a meltdown in May, I had to say, okay, you guys, I can't make the right decisions for myself right now. You're on.
I need help.
And they worked together to, and as I got better, they let up, let me take my life back as I could.
Because group therapy sometimes can be a really good thing, but then sometimes it can be hurtful. And I say that because some pain that you're experiencing when you share it, a lot of times when you first get it out, you don't always share it in a way that's not going to really stab the other person in the heart.
Yes.
Who might have been the offender and might not have been capable of not being the offender. And that's usually, I only understand this the last few years from my own family, that, and being able to forgive through understanding. But it's extremely challenging. But we had gone through, years and years ago when I was really young, we had gone through some group therapy, and I remember that sometimes it caused more problems than it helped, because all of a sudden now they know that there is a problem with so and so because they're right. I mean, it's good to get your feelings out on the table and allow someone, but you doing it in the way where it's just you and your daughter, and you said to her, "Ask me, tell me." I think it sounds like it helped the two of you.
It helped us. Yeah, it helped start it, and this went on through our life.
Forever. Yeah.
And we still talk about it, what needs to be talked about. I think she's watching this right now from Dallas. Hi, Les. And I don't know. I can't say enough about how important it is to have people around you that love you no matter what, no matter what kind of I can't say that word on TV, but no matter what. On Labor Day, I was calling my best friend bad names because we were playing dominoes, and
you got mad or something.
I thought she was. I was, had taken an antidepressant they were trying to help me with, and it kicked me into a mania, which made me mean. And we were playing dominoes, and the idea with dominoes is you make sure everybody else screws up so you can win. So that's what she was doing. That's what they were all doing. And I got really mad at her, and I started calling her really bad names over and over and over. And everybody's like,
uh-oh,
and
check her out.
And then all of a sudden I came to my senses, and I said, I am sorry. I'm going to go to my room, and I'm going to go to my room for the evening. I need to chill.
Give yourself a timeout.
Yeah. And the hard part's been forgiving myself. Sandy finally told me, look, if you say you're sorry one more time, I'm going to get mad at you.
Yeah, well, that I know how that feels. But we have to, I will beat myself up over things that are said that I know I didn't mean to hurt somebody or whatever. Then, someone told me, a wise friend said, well, you asked for forgiveness, they gave it.
Let it go.
You asked for forgiveness from God. Why are you dwelling on this? And I don't know. That's a good point. Why am I dwelling on it? But sometimes we have a tendency to do that. So,
yes.
Okay, so support network. Really quickly, I want to talk about that again. So your support network includes your therapist, your friend who doesn't care.
Yeah, my psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist.
Who was awesome, who was just spent Friday night for a half hour with me, figuring out what I needed to figure out so that I could actually be normal here today. And Sandy, that I was telling you about, and Rod, who's the one who doesn't care what anybody thinks about anything. Sandy's more like me, only she doesn't have the mental illness. And another really good friend of mine. They're on my in case of emergency list. And my coach, I have a coach. She actually lives in New Jersey. We do most coaching on the phone.
And is she a coach for a life coach or a work coach, or what does she coach?
It turns out she coaches about everything. We were both in the same, she was a couple of classes ahead of me in the ADD Coach Academy where I went to do my coaching classes. And so we started that way, but we've been working together for over a year, well over a year. And there's been a lot of, job stuff, family stuff. There is a time when it got to be a point where I wasn't coachable because there was my medication this summer.
Yeah.
And so we both agreed, we need to, let's stop for a little while till you're coachable. Why?
Yeah.
It's not.
We don't have a lot of time left, so is there something that you really want to share before we sign off for the day?
I would just like to, for people who have mental illness, how much?
Go, just do it.
People who have mental illness, just know that you're as strong as can be. You have to live with it the rest of your life. You need to be vigilant. You need to be committed to yourself because there's nobody who's going to be as committed as you are. And those of you who live with someone, don't forget they're a human being and they just have everything that you have and a little extra.
And we'll be back to talk about some of that. Thanks for tuning in. Today's program is brought to you by Truth Skincare, located near the intersection of Peach and Alluvial in Clovis. The perfect destination for relaxation and clinical treatments. Truth Skincare believes in educating consumers about which treatments and products are best for them and the results they can realistically expect. Each service will be carefully customized to meet your particular beauty needs. For information, call 559-287-0470 or visit their website at www.truthskincare.com to learn more. You deserve a skincare experience that's relaxing and pampering. Beauty should not be based on false claims and myths, but rather on knowledge and facts. Truth Skincare, where results are built on science, not hype.
If you have a pet, a horse, a dog, or a giant tortoise, sooner or later, you're going to have to scoop the poo.
Scoop the poo, scoop the poo, scoop the poo, take care of you. What you don't want to do, scoop the poo will do for you.
I'm Christopher Blundros. I'm a CPA in Clovis. People come to me who haven't filed their taxes in quite a while, or when they do file their tax returns, they're surprised by how much taxes they owe. Or when tax season comes along, their records are so disorganized they have no idea what their income or expenses are. Call me at 559-765-0313 to arrange a complimentary 30-minute needs assessment. You can also find me on the web at clovisaccounting.com.
Hello, I'm attorney Jessica Smith-Bobadilla, and I'm here to announce that we now have a show called Immigration Chat with attorney Jessica Smith-Bobadilla. The topic of the show is immigration law and immigration law problems and questions. So please feel free. The show airs every other Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Please feel free to call in with your immigration law questions. We will answer questions in English and in Spanish. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Briggs from Mike Briggs Properties. We're in some very uncertain economic times. Many people have lost their homes. Many people face losing their homes now. Know your rights, know your options. Come talk to the experts right here at Mike Briggs Properties. By the way, we'll talk to you for free. We do not charge any fees at Mike Briggs Properties. Call us at 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Watch Tim Thiessen live Wednesdays at 3 p.m. right here on CentralValleyTalk.com and on digital channel 33.2. If you missed the live broadcast, we're on every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. on Comcast channel 200 and digital channel 43.5. You don't want to miss this.
I'm the owner and CEO of Central Valley Talk. We produce live programs that broadcast 24 hours per day on the internet website, CentralValleyTalk.com. If you like local talk radio, you'll love CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hey, everybody, let's have some fun. You only live once, and when you're dead, you're done. So let the good times roll. Let the good times roll. Let the good times
Watch Mike and Athena Fridays at 1 p.m. on CentralValleyTalk.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hi, thanks for spending some time with me and Kathy this afternoon, and we're talking about bipolar disorder and just mental illness in general and some of the things that you need to be aware of, whether you suffer from it or whether your family, you suspect that they may have some issues. So on suspecting and paying attention. So we have a hard time during break getting all into this conversation and then coming back. But on suspecting that your loved one has some symptoms of a mental illness, what should be done?
Well, a lot of times you could try to talk to them about it and they don't want to hear about it because who wants to have mental illness?
Right.
And so a good thing to do if you suspect it is to read about it, understand it, do the best you can to understand what's going on. What if you think the person has bipolar, find out about bipolar. What does it mean? What can actually happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And in time, help the person come around. My stepdad just kind of dragged me like this to the psychiatrist. Still don't remember that. But somehow or other, at 55, somebody dragged me to the psychiatrist.
Well, and unfortunately, with the current laws, as an adult, when a person's an adult, if they're in denial that they have a situation going on, even when they're delusional and have hallucinations, and it can be extreme, trying to get them to admit it or understand that there is or even understand that there's a problem is a big problem.
That's true, and in a lot of cases, you'll get into a situation where a person, you don't know whether they're going to hurt themselves or hurt somebody else.
And that's one way that you can make sure they get treatment, right?
Yeah, call 911. Ask it. We just went through this with my cousin, and with her daughter, either get in a car and go with me, or I'm calling 911. And
she had to make that threat.
Yeah, and so she got in the car with her, and it's rough because you don't know. When somebody is manic or on substance abuse, and sometimes ADHD when you're like way over the top, you go after stuff. You're not capable of taking care of yourself or anybody around you.
So someone needs to step in.
Someone needs to step in and say, all right. And if you can't do it, you can call 911 and they'll pick you up and take you to the nearest emergency room where you'll be evaluated. And there's a law that says that they can keep you for 72 hours without your permission.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, without your permission. And if the psychiatrist at that place thinks that you need longer, they can keep you there for another 2 weeks.
And that's the same thing with not only mental illness but suicidal people, right? And we have I have a phone number that I'm going to read off to you. Unfortunately, I don't have it on the slide, but if you believe that someone or if you yourself is feeling suicidal, the national hotline, prevention line is 1-800-273-TALK. And I hate it when they say the word, so I'm going to say 273-8255, but some of you that might be easier for. So once again, that's 1-800-273-TALK or 273-8255. And then there's an additional number that is 800-799-4889 if you would like to talk to a counselor and get some advice over the phone anonymously or get some help. So back to finding, so we talked about support network and your support network, but then also some of the symptoms and things you can do. I'm really glad you told me about the 72-hour thing, because for us, unfortunately, a younger relative ended up in jail doing something that was dangerous to others, and for that reason they incarcerated him and through the whole court process. But in the meantime, the poor kid is in jail and there wasn't really anything, and there isn't immediate response in getting them evaluated. So, I'm pretty sure he was in there for 4 weeks before they did the full.
That's a
which
long
is
time.
Hell, you're in jail. Nothing fun.
That's something that they've been working on, and now, as a matter of fact, they have a mental health court, so that people who have mental health issues don't go to the same court through the same court system.
Here in Fresno County?
Here in Fresno County, yes.
So have you known anyone that's gone through that, or what do you know about it? Tell us about it.
What I know about it, I just happen to know about it. My therapist just, said that it really happened, but a friend of mine, his dad and mom were responsible for getting that thing started.
Really?
Several years ago, and I didn't know if they had followed through with it or not, and my therapist today told me that they did, and it's been there for 2 or 3 years now.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
so
but I
so
don't
they have
know.
a different system than different judge and court system for people who are suffering with mental illness, so that they're not treated or disciplined in the same way.
Yes.
For Fresno County.
Mm-hmm.
That's important for relatives to know, most definitely. And then the 72-hour thing, if you are afraid that they're going to hurt themselves, or they are just totally in denial as to the fact that they have a problem, call 911. Get them taken care of and evaluated before they do end up in jail, or worse, kill themselves or hurt someone else. Yeah. Thank you so much for everything, Kathy, and I love being with you, and I am so proud of you. I really am.
Oh, thank you.
I am, because it does take a lot of courage to share the intimate parts of our lives that are painful,
Yeah, it does. But once you get started, it's hard to stop. Somebody's got to do it, right?
I think once you told me somebody's sick and tired of hearing the word bipolar, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sick and tired of having it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in today at Courageous Journeys, and we look forward to talking to you next time.
Family photos tell your stories. Faces, places, milestones, and moments. You probably meant to preserve those memories. But where are those pictures now? Hiding in boxes or inside the discoloring pages of old albums? Do you own hours of home movies and videotapes that you can't even watch? Slides and negatives that you've saved for all these years and you never get to see? Think of all of those precious memories that you've saved from the past to share with the future. Thanks to technology, we're taking more photos than ever, but we're not printing them like we should. Those digital images are held hostage on phones, tablets, and hard drives, leaving them as high-risk targets for accidents and hardware failure. What will happen to all of these images that tell your life story? Cherish those captured memories, not by hiding them, but by safely saving them. Put this overwhelming task on your own agenda or enlist Horn Photo's expertise. Horn Photo provides hands-on help from day one with organizing, scanning, restoring, and duplicating photographs. We can digitize your print and video memories onto DVD for easy viewing and safe, efficient storage. All you need to do is gather your prints, slides, negatives, and videos, then bring them into Horn Photo, where we will care for your cherished memories. In most cases, you can pick up your originals and your DVD within a few days. Once everything is on DVD, it's easy and affordable to order copies of your DVD for your children, siblings, and the rest of your family, so that you can share your memories with everyone. The best part is what can happen once your memories are digitized. We will show you how to transform your pictures into keepsake photo gifts and products you can enjoy for years to come. Don't wait for a disaster to destroy your collection of memories. Take steps to sort, save, and share your life in photos, whether you do it yourself or have Horn Photo help. Stop into Horn Photo and see our full range of solutions for saving and sharing your precious memories.
Own it all at Own a Car, Fresno.
I'm Christopher Blundros. I'm a CPA in Clovis. People come to me who haven't filed their taxes in quite a while, or when they do file their tax returns, they're surprised by how much taxes they owe. Or when tax season comes along, Their records are so disorganized, they have no idea what their income or expenses are. Call me at 559-765-0313 to arrange a complimentary 30-minute needs assessment. You can also find me on the web at clovisaccounting.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com